Hey, what's up? It's been a long time since the last channel update, but today on our studio and our channel we're gonna have the ANNO Mutationem. So let's begin with the disclaimer. The game revived here is not the new installment of the classic Ubisoft strategy series. You probably already realized it from the teaser image in the article line. But it's good to clarify a few things so that there is no misunderstandings. After all, Chinese talking styles annomutationem is a completely different fruit. It's an action RPG under the cyberpunk filter of the Ghost in the Shell that is a Far East approach rather than the Westries bladder rain type. Therefore, if you like to see cities full of neon lights, mysterious protagonists with extreme hairstyles, fancy swordfish, and obscure scenarios, keep watching the weeds. As far as the last feature is concerned, annomutationem goes too far. The reason is that the game permits stuffs everywhere, leaving a lot of question marks and loose ends. And at almost no point we are given the adequate explanation as to why we don't what we do. In essence, the story revolves around Anne Flores, a girl with quite unusual fighting powers, which she uses to help the police work in the town of Skop. Anne suffers from amnesia, while also suffering from a disease called antignitis, which according to her doctor is only a matter of time before it reaches the stage of mortality. However, together with her AI girlfriend, Ayane, they are making sure that as much as time as she left, stay busy with their investigation, except for her brother Brian. Brian, who adores his sister, tries to find a solution to her illness with his research leading to the drug N540, a drug that no one knows its origin, but behind it, the purest intentions are not hidden. It would be long before the story takes another run, with a complicated instead involved supernatural phenomena making their appearances and a never-ending chase for Anne to both locate Ryan, who has all but disappeared from the face of the earth and recall the past she can remember. In general, this is the story that annomutationem is trying to tell, and we stress to the verb trying. As mentioned before, the game has a serious problem in narrative aspect, as it feels like you are reading book with entire chapters missing between its pages, with the result that you don't understand anything and soon stop caring about the story protagonist outcome. For a game that moves along action's RPG path, that is a serious flaw that cannot be overlooked. Therefore, what remains to be judged is whenever the gameplay manages to keep the player interest. Things are clearly better than it's shame there is not a slot plot to accompany it. The game shows a quirky mix of 3D, 2D visuals with pixelated graphics. While this isn't the first time we have seen something like this, we can't recall a recent indie production that's something that's similar. The game is divided in two parts, exploration and combat. In exploration, the perspective remains two-dimensional, but we have the ability to move in deep. In this part, we chat with the NPCs, undertake quests, read emails, visit shop to buy equipment and cosmetic items, hack devices through an easy minigames and collect the items. There are 4 areas to which we are very lively to and well done, but quite limited in scope with very few points of interest. The good thing is that in there is an abundance of side quests, which we will often have to discover on the own, and which do not require the use of weapons to solve. And there are a few that we have to pour minds to work, such as the mission to find the killer in the apartment building we live or being called upon to make a decision. Of course, we never learn the consequences of our decisions, but another thing, anyway, apart from the side quest, it's worthwhile to engage, it's collecting all kinds of junk. Scouring every corner of the city, which we can disassemble to get the right materials for the crafting. The crafting element is quite strong in game and often the games encourage us to engage in it, but there is a balance issue in terms of the cost implementing new weapons. Crafting a weapon is very expensive in both materials and money, which is hard to acquire. Unless you feel like grinding while serving cocktails at Anna's sister's bar, making the process a near unavailable one of the important parts of the game. It's no coincidence that in my playthrough I managed to make a new sword when I was about 3.5-4 of the way throughout the game. Speaking of words, the game combat system takes us to a purely 2D environment when N has 3 types of weapon: the classic sword, a greater, and the firearm, all which can be tweaked by placing a chip in relevant slot. By pressing the appropriate button, we use the corresponding weapon, and by combining them we create combos that inflict more damage on the enemies in equations. Of course, there is a block button that, if pressed at the time, becomes parry and creates an opening for the counterattacks, while there is also a dodge, which also makes us invulnerable for as long as the roll lasts. Well, on the technical aspects, the implementation of the pixel art is excellent and surely no one the best we have ever seen. So, to sum up, Annomutationem is a nice attempt from the Thinking Stars, which certainly has a lot to improve on. It goes ahead with a sequel, as the game ending suggests. If you're a fan of the cyberpunk style, it represents an action RPG with the emphasis on action. Give it a look.